Good morning, class 9, and welcome to your political science class. Students, I hope you all remember what we did in the last class. Well, we finished the first chapter that you are well aware of. And in the last class, I gave you the objectives of the chapter that we will be starting from today. So the name of the chapter that we will be starting today is Constitutional Design. And already the objectives and the topics that will be covered in this chapter has been given to you in the last class. I hope you have read those well. Okay, so today we will be doing a very important class on the introduction of the Constitution of South Africa. So we begin with the Constitution of South Africa because you need to know the importance of a constitution. Okay, so without further ado, I think we should begin with the class. Please go through the entire video, and in this video itself, you will find your homework as well. So watch the video till the end. Go through each and every line that has been written, that has been said. Listen to it carefully. Read through the textbook till the part that has been explained. And after that, if you have any doubt, you are very much free to contact me. And of course, you will find the homework in your last slide. So don't forget to do that. All right. So after doing your homework, you can submit it to me latest by Wednesday. So let's begin the class today, students. Chapter 2, Constitutional Design. So the specific objective for the topic that we are going to study today is to learn about the struggle of the people of South Africa and their movement against the Apartheid system. So let's begin with an introduction first. So let us at the very beginning understand what exactly does Apartheid means. So Apartheid is a political system, and this political system was prevalent in South Africa from 1948 to 1989, and this system was based on racial discrimination. Racial discrimination means discriminating somebody on the basis of someone's race. Okay, so in South Africa from 1948 to 1989, the apartheid system was running very smoothly. And in this system of racial discrimination, the black majority people, that means the native people of South Africa, they were dominated by the white communities. So all those people who came from various countries of the West to colonize South Africa, they stayed back. And since they stayed back, they started dominating the native people on the basis of their skin color. So in order to stop this apartheid system, Nelson Mandela and his fellow mates fought against it. And in his fight against this apartheid system, Nelson Mandela was also imprisoned many a time. Okay, and Nelson Mandela basically tried to move against the apartheid by introducing an anti-apartheid movement. And because of his anti-apartheid movement, the entire white community was shook at a very high intensity because nobody except for Nelson Mandela had the courage to actually stand up and speak against the ruling whites. So let us know something more about Nelson Mandela. So it was mainly Nelson Mandela who fought for the freedom of his people in South Africa, and he dreamt of establishing a democratic government based on the ideals of equality, liberty, justice, fraternity, etc. So Nelson Mandela always wanted this apartheid movement, this apartheid political system to end, and in the process he wanted freedom for his people. And after establishing freedom, he wanted to introduce democracy in his country where everybody will be equal, where everybody will be free, where everybody will get justice and everybody will have a sense of brotherhood or fraternity. So Nelson Mandela tried a lot to go against the English people, because of which he was tried many a times for treason. Many a times tried means he was punished for treason. Treason means an act through which somebody goes against the ruling government. So since Nelson Mandela was going against the white ruling community, that is why he was tried. He was sent to prison many a times. In 1964, he and 7 of his
fellow mates, they were sentenced for life imprisonment. That means till they are alive, they have to be inside the prison. And in order to ensure that Nelson Mandela suffers, he was shifted to Robben Island for 28 years. So in Robben Island, there is the most there is the most dangerous prison that was prevalent in South Africa at that time. So in order to ensure that he suffers for the maximum time, for the maximum amount, he was sent to Robben Island for his punishment. So the apartheid system, I already gave you an introduction about what apartheid means. So let us try to understand what apartheid system meant, what this system meant now. So in the 17th and 18th centuries, most of the white European traders who came to South Africa for the purpose of trade, they started settling down in South Africa. Okay, they started settling down because they wanted to establish trade here, and slowly, by force, they started removing the local rulers there. Okay, and slowly the local rulers were replaced by the European traders, and these traders later on started this political system called apartheid. So the main feature of this apartheid system was that it was discriminatory. It was discriminatory because it divided people on the basis of their skin color. So all the native people, the local people of South Africa, were called the blacks as a as an insult for them. And also all those people who belonged to a mixed blood, like white and black, those who belonged to that mixed blood, they were also called colored, along with the migrants who came from India, for example. So the black colored, people having black colored skin, they were called blacks, and that was something very insulting to them. And those people who migrated from other countries, as well as those people who had a mixture of black and white blood, like for example mother and father are both from different colors, in that case they are called the colored people. So there were the white people, there were the black people, and there were the colored people. And the blacks and colored were always discriminated by the white European under this apartheid system. So the whites considered that all the non-whites were inferior, and the native people, they had no rights at all in their own land. They were not even given their basic right to vote. All their political rights, it is also mentioned in your book, when you read you will understand, all the voting rights, the various political rights that every human being should have, should possess, everything was taken away from the native people because they were black. Okay. So let us talk something about the struggle now that was led by Nelson Mandela. So this system, as I told you, it oppressed the blacks, the black skinned people. And these people, they were forbidden. That means they were not allowed to enter and live in the areas where the whites lived. Okay. And even if a black had to go inside the areas of the whites for some work purpose or for any other purpose, then they had to take a special permission for that. They had to get a special permit. It was like a license to enter that area for a limited period of time. Okay. And there was something called as segregation. Segregation means division. So all the facilities that were there in South Africa, everything was different for the blacks and whites. For example, public transport. So in South Africa, if you were to get on a public transport, you need to see whether it is meant for you or for the whites. Okay, because public transport, public wells, then parks, everything were segregated, everything were divided. There was a huge distinction on the things that the whites can use and that the blacks can use. And if a black is seen using anything from the whites, then he will be made sure to get punished. All right. So as I told you before also, the blacks did not have any political right at all. And also their right to form association, their right to form a political party, their right to criticize the government or protest against the government for their unjust behavior, everything was being taken away by the blacks. And it was about their struggle. And now let us see what is anti-apartheid. So anti-apartheid is a movement which was organized by Nelson Mandela and his companions, and it was through this anti-apartheid movement that the apartheid system was taken away. Okay, so in the 1950s, the blacks and the Indians, that means the colored, they fought together against the apartheid system, which was very discriminatory. So, in this way, the first African National Congress, that means this was the first political party, it was formed. And with the help of this African National Congress, along with this political party, there were many marches and rallies and movements that took place against this system. All right. So, to join hands with the ANC or the African National Congress, many workers' party or the Labour's Party, they came together, and even the Communist Party joined hands with the ANC. Even there were some white people who joined this movement along with Nelson Mandela. So those people or those whites who joined this movement with Mandela, they joined it because they were sensitive enough. They understood that it was not fair to take the natural rights of the native South African people, because of which they took part in this anti-apartheid movement and started to fight against their own people. Okay, so there were many countries of the world who denounced the apartheid as unjust and racist system, including India. So many countries were there which condemned this apartheid system to be an unjust system, to be a system based on racial discrimination. But of course, although many people criticized it, although it was unjust, racist, people were suffering, but still the white government continued to rule by using oppressive and discriminatory measures. The white government thought of not changing at all. So this was all for today, and this is your homework. So first of all, you need to write down the reason due to which Nelson Mandela was tried by the white South African government. Then you need to explain the term apartheid, maybe for 1 or 2 marks. Then on what basis did the system of apartheid discriminate people? That you need to write a bit in detail. Then name the political party which led the movement against apartheid. And lastly, in which island of South Africa was Nelson Mandela imprisoned in 1964? So these are your questions as homework, and the last date of submission is 3rd of June, Wednesday. So students, I hope today's discussion was clear with you. I hope you understood the meaning of the apartheid system. I hope you understood what is anti-apartheid, and I also hope that you understood about the contribution and struggle of Nelson Mandela and also the Congress Party, the African Congress Party at that time. So go through this video again and again if you have any doubt. Also, after watching this video, please go through the topics in your textbook which we have covered today. So that's all, students. Thank you so much. We shall meet again next week. So thank you, and study hard.